I do want to elaborate really quickly on, I could not have started a business, any business, and I'm sure you feel the same way, if I didn't take care of myself first. If I didn't
you can start them.
Yeah.
You can start as many businesses as you want and not take care of yourself. They will all fail, right? If you're not ready to accept lots of money, you can get it, you'll lose it.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
You've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
Welcome back to Clicks and Bricks. Today I'm talking with Lisa Williams. It's Simply digital agency. She's currently living the Nomad life, so super excited to talk to her about that. How are you doing today, Lisa?
Hi, Ken. Thank you so much for having me. I am awesome. I just landed myself back in Texas, which is my hometown of Dallas, and I'm happy to be here for a couple of weeks before I head out again on the digital nomad trail.
Wonderful. I love it. I love the lifestyle. So many people are trying to accomplish your lifestyle right now in the world with post-COVID and the Great Resignation and all those things with the on-demand job economy and all of these things make it a perfect time to live the kind of life that you're living. So congratulations on this journey that you're on. It's so exciting. And I'm sure you have plenty of stories to tell us. But before we get into your current business and what you're currently doing, can you tell us a little bit about your past and how you got to where you're at today?
Sure. So I'm sure like most entrepreneurs, just like most people in general, it doesn't come without trials, tribulations, and a lot of pain and heartache along the way, and a lot of failures and a lot of trauma and big transformations. And so I'm going to just kind of sum this up in a couple of quick sentences just to kind of let you know where I came from. So I was married to my ex-husband for 20 years. We have two amazing children. He was a very abusive addict. And unfortunately, it just kept getting worse. And it's kind of this spiraling effect that, if you kind of think of a funnel, one incident happens up here and then you're like, okay, that was kind of weird. It doesn't really sit well with me. But then you just keep living your life. And then another little blip happens. And then those blips start getting closer and closer together where there's not like this huge amount of time. And so your brain starts to go, this is crazy. I'm on a crazy train. And I had to get off of it because I was, living with an addict, you become the codependent. You become, you basically are supporting that behavior. And it just wasn't working for me. And it was a very unhealthy environment for myself and for my kids. So went through a very brutal divorce. Lost pretty much everything we owned together after 20 years of marriage and had to start over. And so picked myself back up, got my life back together. And, now I'm a single mom working a full-time job, whereas before I was a stay-at-home mom. And now I'm supporting, two teenagers, which is not fun at all financially. They want everything. They want phones and cars and clothes.
Yes, the kids are expensive.
And as a parent, you want to give it to them, right?
Yes.
Like you want them to have everything. So fast forward a little bit, later in life, and I ended up meeting a wonderful, wonderful man. We got engaged and we bought a house together. We combined our lives, and he was tragically killed in a car accident.
Shit.
Yeah. And that basically set my life on a completely different path because I was sitting in so much pain and heartache. And I thought, how do I find something positive to put my energy into that will help move me in a forward direction? And I don't have a little sample to show you, but I had to do something in my mind, whatever it was. And so I created these little sticky notes, these little pads of sticky notes that had these I am statements on them. And it was like, I'm strong, I am brave, I'm beautiful, and you could, instead of writing them on, your whiteboard or your glassboard or your mirror or whatever, you could just peel and stick them everywhere. And it's just reminders of, how wonderful you really are. And so that was kind of like my first little dabble. I mean, I had been an entrepreneur and started multiple businesses when I stayed at home with my kids, but that was kind of my first little dabble in this path that I'm on right now.
Right.
And so I could tell you that my friends were like, we need to stop this train. Like, where does she think she's going with this? But it really provided comfort for me. And at the time, I was so uncomfortable doing video, but I would get on every single day and do like 50-day challenges with my little sticky notes. And I mean, I could go back and look at those videos. They're online. They're on Facebook. Right. They're on, and I could see the sadness and the hurt and the pain in my face, but I showed up every single day. And it just was like this little bright light in my day that helped move me forward. And what was even more rewarding, Ken, is that people would comment about how I made a difference in their day.
Right.
And based on whatever little story I told about whatever little sticky note I had in my hand. And that moved me forward every day. It just continued that progress every single day. And then I decided to go ahead and join the John Maxwell team to learn about coaching and, business building. And I became a certified coach through their organization. And I thought that that's what I wanted to do. And I came back from their massive 5-day event in Orlando that, you're like buzzing with energy. Right. And I started a podcast. I started some masterminds. All of it, kind of fizzled out. My podcast was a dream in the making, and I was super excited to launch that. And then I lost my job. And so here I was sitting in 2019 with no job and, still 2 kids older, but to support. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to really work on my podcast, really work on my side hustle, really work on building myself while I look for a new job. I got a job in the marketing industry as working for an agency as sales and marketing, which that's my background, marketing. I went to school for marketing. And then the pandemic hit and got laid off right in the middle of the pandemic. We were losing clients. The company that I worked for just felt like they needed to scale back. And, it happened. And I had a side hustle where I was doing what I was already doing for them on the side. And I had a few clients. And I just decided, the hell with it. I am not going to work for anybody else anymore. I'm going to do this on my own. I had enough confidence and I did it. And I launched my agency full time with no support from outside, income. It was all on my shoulders and all on me. And
all bootstrapped. You funded the entire thing. Wonderful.
Yes. With my personal finances and savings of very, very small, limited amounts. But I think what's more important in this story that I'm going on and telling you is it took me so long to build that confidence to where I said, I know I could do this on my own. I always was dabbling in things, but I always had the security of either my ex-husband's income or, a full-time job. And This was the first time in the middle of a pandemic. So I want to just say to your listeners, if you think you can't do it or you think something's holding you back, I did it in September of 2020. And I'm super excited that I'm here where I am today. I have a podcast that I host called It's Simply Life, where we do digital marketing and life, just life stuff.
Right.
I run a digital marketing agency. I have some amazing clients. I have a small team of powerful women that I work with. And I love everything I do today. And I get to travel all over the world and do this and do this.
Wonderful. It's great.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's awesome.
Lisa, you unpacked a lot there, and I'm going to go back and kind of just divvy up. So,
sure.
The audience, the fans of the audience know I'm no stranger to addiction. And, I apologize for what you had to go through. And I know that that's a challenging thing, living with somebody with addiction and overcoming that and making the unfortunate decision at the end that your partner just wasn't going to get better and make that separation. So congratulations on understanding that you can't always change the people in your life, but you can change the people who are in your life. So congratulations on making that.
Thank you.
That move. And it's challenging, right? It's hard. I want to talk about your I am statements and your postings, right? Because your friends were kind of like, this chick's going nuts on us. Mm-hmm. And the audience needs to know this. If you're looking at going into business for yourself or doing anything really hard, right? That could be sports. It can be business. It can be, just trying to get a promotion at your day job. Self-talk is so important. And talking to yourself in a very positive way can make huge, huge differences. And I'm so fortunate that I get to talk to, millionaires. I've got to talk to a couple billionaires in my life, and I get to talk to world champion fighters, MMA and boxing. And every single one of them will tell me that my self-narrative and my self-talk and my self-work is what gets there. I work on myself more than I work on my projects. And it is so important to do. And talking to yourself in a very highly positive way, understanding what you want your life to look like. All those things are so important. So congratulations on, sticking the finger to the friends that are saying you're weird, going off the rails, and sticking to that path, because it's huge and it is life-changing. So I'm just so proud of you for finding that. Did you have a coach or a mentor or somebody that led you into your I am statements, or how did you come around to that? And the I am statement is one that I fail at pretty drastically. So I'm not good at that one.
And you know what, Ken? I was failing miserably at my self-talk, at my self-care, at my self-development. I mean, having gone through a brutal divorce, living with somebody who was had addiction problems, loving that person so much, not wanting, what happened, it happened. And then going through trauma and, grief and all of that stuff. I was terrible at self-care. And, I truly believe that the universe speaks to you and brings you things that you are in desperate need of at certain times in your life. And it was a shower thought. It literally was one of those things that I was, I love my shower thoughts. I think it's like this perfect time where you have no noise coming at you, right? There's nothing coming at you unless you're playing the radio or a podcast or music or whatever. And it was a shower thought. It was just like, how can I make something positive in my life right now? And I don't know. I kept thinking about my daughter and I, when she was younger, we used to write on her mirror, I am beautiful, I am brave, seize the day, whatever it was that we would put. And I just thought, how could we not write on the mirror, but have these little messages in our head all the time? And that's where it came from. And I do want to elaborate really quickly on, I could not have started a business, any business, and I'm sure you feel the same way, if I didn't take care of myself first. If I didn't
you can start them.
Yeah.
You can start as many businesses as you want and not take care of yourself. They will all fail, right? If you're not ready to accept lots of money, you can get it, you'll lose it. I'm a living testament to that. I've been a millionaire multiple times in my life, and I've lost it all because I wasn't ready and responsible enough to take it and really continue on that journey. So you can start, but it's really, really hard to maintain. And I was watching an interview today that somebody was saying, it's more painful to have made $1 million and now only have 100,000 than it is to never have made that million. And I don't necessarily, I believe a lost love is better than never to have loved at all. But, it's you give and you take. And you're right. You can start it, but you're not going to keep it because something's going to happen and you're going to give up. You're going to go back to the drink. You're going to go back to the negative self-talk. You're going to go back to all of these things that don't serve your growth.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to share a little bit about my self-care today because I think it's so vital and so important. I make sure every morning that I exercise. It's just part of my daily habit, whether that looks like going to the gym and killing it on some HIIT or strength training workout or walking around my neighborhood or biking around my neighborhood. It's some kind of movement to get my body going for the morning. I always make sure I have sunshine, whatever that looks like, whether I'm walking outside and just being outside for 15 minutes. I make sure my eyes get sun first thing in the morning without glasses, without a hat on, without any kind of protection, just for a few moments of every day. I am making sure that I get sunshine. I work on grounding as often as possible. And grounding is maybe making sure that my feet touch part of the earth every single day, whether it's grass, sand, water, rocks, whatever it is, I do grounding. I meditate, I journal, and I try my best to eat as clean and as from the earth as possible.
That is wonderful. I don't do all of those things, but I do a lot of them. The other thing that I do that I add to that is I do EMDR therapy for trauma as a child. But all of those things are huge. I don't think that I would not be in the place that I am today without meditation, without some yoga. And for me, my exercise is boxing. I love the sport. Yeah. And I own a boxing school. So I'm there every single night of my life. It is one of my many, many joys in this crazy little ball that we're spinning on. So,
and I'm a huge believer in EMDR therapy. I've done it myself and a huge believer in it. So
game changing. And if you're suffering with addiction at all and you haven't tried EMDR, I'm a spokesman for the therapy. It's a huge life changing experience. So let's dive right into your business. It's Simply Digital, right?
Yes.
And we talked a little bit before we started recording about the clients that you're serving, and you want to serve a very specific kind of client. And I want to hear it from your voice. I don't want the audience to hear it from my voice. So who is it that It's Simply Digital serves and why?
Yeah. So Ken, one of the things that I had done years before I even started a business is I did a ton of research on how to market yourself as a small business. And some of the things online, digitally, because we live in a digital world, and took classes, took courses, listened to podcasts, did tons of research, read tons of material and books and downloaded PDFs and etc. And I know that it was very complicated to market myself as a small business while I was building my small business. I know that was very challenging. Hence the name, It's Simply Digital. I tried to take everything that I've learned, all the challenges and complications out of it to make it very simplified for my clients so that we do all the back work. So the clients I serve are that very small entrepreneur, solopreneur, small team. It doesn't really matter the industry. It's more of you've gotten started, you've built your business, you've taken your marketing as far as you could take it. But if you keep concentrating on marketing and try to keep growing your business, you're being pulled in two different directions. And you're at that point or at that space where you need somebody to take over the marketing for you. And so that's where our team fits in. That's where we fit in. I was working for an agency, as I mentioned before, and it was a big B2B agency, and they took on very, very large clients, which is wonderful. But what was happening is sometimes these smaller clients were coming to them and they would have to turn business away. And I was like, that's me. That's where I want to serve. Those are the people I want to serve. And so that's kind of how I've built my business. And it really, I feel like we fit that niche, pretty well, where you're not like this big, huge brand or large entity where you could afford, $100,000 to $200,000 a year marketing budget. You're more of a smaller brand, smaller business. You might have a small team. You can't really hire a full-time marketing person, but you could bring me on as, quote, a fractional, marketing. I like to say that think of us as an extension of your team. Think of us as your marketing department.
Absolutely. And it's very, very important. Marketing is essential to any business in reality. Now, some companies will say, well, I don't do marketing. Word of mouth is how I get businesses. You're marketing. Word of mouth is
marketing
of marketing, right? It's hands down the least expensive way to market your product, kind of. I would argue that it's the most expensive if that's the only thing that you're doing and you can't figure out some of these other mechanisms for attracting new clients, right? Your reach is very small. You don't get as many at-bats is what I would call it whenever you're only marketing word of mouth. So,
right.
What is the job? What is the marketing department's job in the company? What should it be doing?
Well, I know that there's this big controversy between marketing and sales. Marketing is not sales. It is not marketing's job to sell your product. It's marketing's job to attract the right buyer, the right client, the right customer to your brand, to your organization, to your business. And then it's sales, your job, whatever that is, to close the deal, to sell the product or the service. Marketing is getting your name out there, getting your brand out there, getting the buzz. It's also educating your consumer, your audience on what it is that you do, how you serve them, and how you transform their life from where they are to where they want to be. And it's really creating that transformational story. And I think that that's one of the things, Kim, that we do really well is we listen. We have multiple meetings with our clients, on a weekly basis, and we really listen. And I feel like we ask the right questions to find out how to create that content, how to tell that story, how to share that in social, in newsletters, in blogs, and whatever, content that we're putting out for them. It's sharing that story in a way that creates that transformation. And that's what marketing is.
Absolutely. And if marketing's done right, it set the potential client up for the sales staff to convert that into a customer very, very easily. They don't have to explain the product. At that point, if you do really great marketing, you can almost have order takers. You don't really need sales like the traditional, Mad Men's type sales, right? You don't need that anymore.
Well,
hopefully,
sure.
if it's not correct. And it depends on your product and service, right? Across the board.
Right.
So,
right. I mean, if it's a very high valued, high priced, long sales process, of course you need to bring in some salespeople,
right.
But your potential buyer, your potential customer, your audience, they're 80 to 85% through the buyer journey before they pick up the phone, before they send you an email, before they land on your contact page, or before they ask for a quote. They've done their research. We are educated consumers. We have done our research. Let's just say I want to go buy a new car, next week. And I'm going to just use my car. I have a BMW 430. So let's just say that I'm looking at buying a BMW. Well, I've done my research. I've gone on their website. I've looked at comparable vehicles. I have gone on social media sites. I've maybe gone into some groups and asked some questions about how the car performs, what year, what make, what model. I've done everything so that when I go and hit their website and say, I'm ready to buy, I'm ready for somebody to contact me, I'm ready to test drive the vehicle, my money is in my hand. I've gone through it all. But the way that I've educated myself is through all the content that they have put out. So they've educated me with how it performs. They've educated me with the different brands, makes, models, years, and if we're not doing our job as a marketing department, we have to be educating the consumer. You have to constantly be educating them. And the other thing that I think people think is, oh, we're giving away way too much information. No, you're never giving away too much information. It's already out there. It's already out there. They could find it somewhere else. So make sure that they're getting it from you rather than going somewhere else.
Well, and there's this whole problem with perception in the world, right? The content is out there, but one of the beautiful things about different people is that you can say the same thing to 10 different people and you might have 10 different perspectives of what you just said. So you have to say it differently multiple times, right? To make sure that the message gets through to the right person at the right time. I can't tell you how many times my wife says something to me and I don't understand what she's trying to get me to do. Then somebody else says it and she's like, well, why do you believe them and not me? I'm like, well, they said it differently than you did, I guess. I don't know. But that's a real thing. It happens all the time. And marketing is one of the tools that we use to kind of get rid of that problem, because you can say the same thing in different ways to different people. And digital marketing has changed that game. I went to marketing school in 1997, right? The internet was here, but there was nobody marketing on the internet at the time. Netscape maybe. Right. Netscape and AOL were the only two really marketing on the internet, and those horrible pop-up banners. So that's changed drastically today, and we can really target the individual person. So I really love that. Now, you focus on the solopreneur, micro company, small business, right? And correct. I think that's what you said. So small business down to micro. And for those folks that don't know what that, micro is just a solopreneur, right? Or I think solopreneur, micro's under 2 employees. I think small business goes all the way up to 500 employees or something. It's pretty big, right? There's a lot of small businesses.
Yeah.
And for the audience that doesn't know this, there's not a whole lot of big businesses in the world. Like, big business is a very, very small number of companies. So that's a challenging market to be in, right? These are theoretical. Some of them are rock stars that are knocking it out of the park. They have more money than they know what to do with. But a lot of these people are struggling week to week or month to month. Are your services, like, how do you price your services? Who's available to be a client? If you're talking, a solopreneur that's maybe just making their salary, how do you get them to justify? Because at this point, and as entrepreneurs, we know sometimes we have to take pay cuts to get to the next level. How do you convince them to go down that path? Or I'm assuming you're not doing it no charge.
Right. And I think, Ken, that's challenging, because you have to be in a space where you've already built enough business and feel comfortable enough to let some of that income go to bring somebody on. And I think it's challenging because, I say solopreneur, we say, micro, you have to have made some money to be able to afford a service like what we provide. And I think what the challenging part is letting go of that control, because let's just say you're a solopreneur, or maybe you have a partnership. You've been doing everything by yourself for that period of time. And it's letting that control go and giving up some of that. And I think that's the bigger challenge and it's also, what does success look like to you? Does success look like I have 4 more clients in the next 4 months? Does success look like I have 4 more clients in the next 4 days? What does success look like for you as an individual? And those are the questions that we dive into and we ask them as we are having those discovery calls and those conversations. And I would say, there are some people that can't, they're not ready to spend the money. And, sometimes they're not ready at that very moment. But here's the other thing is you continue to nurture them with knowledge, and they might be ready 6 months from now. They might be ready a year from now. I've had conversations today, right now, as we speak, I had a conversation with a potential client and their marketing team a year ago. 1 year ago. They never signed with me, and it wasn't because of finances. It just was because they were busy on other projects. They had different things going on, and they let it fall through the cracks.
Right.
This is an entrepreneur that gets hit with a lot of marketing people like me. One thing is I don't chase. I provide information, but I don't chase. And so I constantly show up. I show up 3 to 4 times a week on LinkedIn with valuable information. I put out a newsletter with valuable information. And so what that potential client is seeing is me consistently showing up. And guess what? A year later, they're DMing me from LinkedIn looking for another meeting to get the ball rolling.
Right. I think one thing that business owners, small business owners, and people in general, all business owners have to have a really good understanding of their sales cycle. And B2B sales cycles are long. They're not, businesses don't come across an ad at 3:00 in the morning and make a sporadic purchase on a crazy large hoodie that is also a 90. That doesn't happen. That's B2C, right? Those kinds of things you can get on an emotional purchase really quickly. But B2B sales, I have some sales cycles that are 5 and 10 years long, right? It just happens that way. I've been dealing with the company for 10 years. I've seen them at the Small Business Expo every year for 10 years. And then finally they end up buying from us. So B2B is a different beast. It's a different animal. I agree with you 100%. Show up, create value. I think the best way to close a sale ever is to show a customer how to not use your service. And then you know what? I don't want to do that crap. I'm just going to pay you. Can I pay you to do it?
Right.
It's hands down the easiest way to sell a product or a service. This is how you do it. Tell them, cradle to grave. Don't hide anything.
Right.
Make the tutorial and they'll hire the expert to do it for them.
Well, and that's the thing is, like we said, all that information, I could go Google how to market a small business. And I'm sure I could watch YouTube after YouTube after YouTube. I'm sure I could read blogs. Yep. I'm sure I could listen to podcasts. I don't know how long it will take me. Months, years, I don't know. Right. Or you could hire an expert who's done all of that for you and curated all of that information, simplified it. That's why I say simplify. I use simplify, and my newsletter is called It's Simply Newsworthy. My podcast is It's Simply Life. My marketing agency is It's Simply Digital. I try to simplify everything. We have created processes and systems and through trial and error. So what I'm telling you is I failed miserably. I banged my head against the wall multiple times trying to figure this out. And so I'm the expert because I have figured it out. And I do want to touch on something that, you said your wife could tell you one way and then somebody else could tell you another way and it resonates better. It's the same thing in business. There's thousands of me out there, right? Selling the same kind of service and products or whatever. And it's you. It's how you package yourself. It's how you show up. It's your consistency. It's your value. It's your confidence. Confidence is energy. You feel it. People resonate with that. Like I told you at the very beginning, when I'd show up with my sticky notes and I looked at my face and I could see somberness and pain, but I kept showing up, and then I show up today and I have this energy and this, light and shining. And I know I do because people tell me, and I could feel it myself. So it's how you show up too.
Absolutely. Show up with positivity or don't show up at all. It's one of my core values. So
Yes.
because if you show up with negative energy or people start showing up with negative energy, it brings the whole vibe of the entire company down. Right. So,
right.
I say that I've got 13 core values, and one of them is don't show up with positivity or don't show up at all. And I say them every single morning. So
every day. Yeah,
absolutely. So Lisa, I've had a blast talking with you. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and work with you and your team, what's the best way for them to get more information about your services and products?
Yeah. And thank you for letting me have a plug. It's simplydigital.com is my website. And then you could always email me at lisa@itssimplydigital.com.
Wonderful. And this from solopreneurs, small and medium-sized businesses, you're going to help them find a package that's right for them and help them get on the first or second rung of their marketing and then start climbing that ladder, which when you nail it, it's wildly successful. I've seen a lot of businesses go from barely holding on to, having nicer cars and traveling and all these things by adding a successful marketing piece to their business.
Absolutely. And
inside marketing. Oh, go ahead.
Right. I was just going to say, absolutely. I mean, we do everything from social media to running ads and everything in between. So, it's we kind of meet you where you're at. Let's just
Wonderful.
Put it that way.
All right.
Yeah.
If you're coming to a company, brick and mortar, anything out there, and what's one tip that you can give somebody that if they're going to focus some time on, they don't have enough money to hire somebody, one thing that they could really focus on that could maybe change their business for the good?
Yeah. So I would say find the platform where your clients are at. So for me, it happens to be LinkedIn. You might be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever it is. Find the platform that your clients or that your potential clients are at and show up consistently with value. Don't be afraid to turn on the video. Don't be afraid to share a little personal stories. And I think that's going to probably be the key, Kim,
right.
Because I think for me, what I had discovered way back is I was showing up with value business-wise, providing business tips. What was the game changer for me? What upped my shares, my engagement, my likes, my comments was when I started getting vulnerable and telling personal stories. And you have to have that mix or else it doesn't work. So kind of the way I look at it is take your week and say, okay, these days I'm going to provide business tips. These days I'm going to share some personal vulnerable stories. Sometimes I tie it back into business. And sometimes it has nothing to do with digital marketing. So that's what I would say is provide value, show up consistently, find the platform, and really hone in on that platform. I'm on all of the other platforms, but I don't engage on all the other platforms. LinkedIn is where I engage.
Right.
And you can't be everywhere. You just can't unless you have a marketing team and unless you have people, doing all that for you. So find one platform that works for you.
Absolutely. And if you've gotten that piece already and you're still struggling, I would add, if you're still struggling at that point, then I think you really have to look at your offer. What is your compelling first offer to onboard that customer? So if you're really focusing on one platform and you think, man, I'm posting 3 or 4 times a day, just like Gary Vee tells me to, but I'm still not getting there. Look at that offer. Put as much value into that first offer, that initial offer, as you possibly can. And it can change things for you as well.
And, one other thing I'm going to add to that is what sets you apart? What do you do that's different? How do you show up? How does your product, your service, whatever you offer, how is it different? It could be this big, like an inch different from X, Y, and Z. But whatever it is, really hone in on how that is different. And the one other thing that I'm going to add to this is how you get your customers, your clients, your potential clients from where they are to where they want to be. What is that transformation? What does that look like for them?
Right. Wonderful. I absolutely love it. Lisa, thank you so much for your time today. I hope that we get to talk again And, you know, if I run across small businesses that can maybe use your services, I'll kick them your way for sure. So thank you so much for your time today. Do you have anything you'd like to leave the audience with before we go?
Be confident, be consistent, be blessed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa. That's it for today's show, folks. Again, my name is Ken. Please like and subscribe to the channel. We love it. It helps us grow. Get to work. Thanks for watching today's episode of Clicks and Bricks. Get to work.